Okay, so first ever sales call. Here we go.
Welcome.
You want to wait? We can wait a few more minutes.
Sure.
We'll give them like literally 9 seconds to hop on because Shonda said she was going to. And then we can go ahead and hop in.
Sounds good.
But yeah, so what did we say? We'll talk a little bit about the sales calls, Shania. So we said we were going to do bi-monthly. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
do one sales.
One marketing.
Yes, you're going to kind of push the sales. I'm going to push the marketing because we're both doing other training, Carrie, for sales and marketing, like independently. Um,
hmm
you should tell her about your course and everyone, because we're
Oh
recording,
yeah.
about the course that you just did, Shania.
Yeah. So I did a week long. It was honestly 6 days. So it was very rigorous just because I didn't like take time off. I just rolled with my normal
I told
caseload.
her the day before, I think you should sign up for this. I'll pay for
And
it.
when Kelly has an idea, I'm like, let's do it. So we did it and I learned so much, but I'm really excited to share all the content that I learned with everyone. And I think it just sheds a new light on sales and how we are either always being sold to or we're selling something. So no matter what you're doing, I think the good analogy that I can provide that everyone can kind of resonate with, if you think about like buying gifts for your children, right? No matter if you work for yourself or you work for a corporation, that corporation is selling to then gain revenue to then pay you. And then essentially they're, selling to whoever is going to be paying the company. So it is a true thing of, we're always either selling or being sold to. And I think as therapists, we can be better with our approach and our value and selling the value versus just a list of, things that we have to offer because we're so used to like, this is a clinic, I got my referrals, we're going to go through the motions. And cash-based physical therapy is not that. And selling the value versus listing everything that we offer on our service menu is going to be a lot more beneficial for all of us to continue to not only gain more traffic, but also build rapport with patients on a new level. So I'm really excited to share the content with everyone and kind of see, as we role play today, what people have to say.
Yeah. Okay. I will share your presentation.
And these aren't meant to be super long. So we leave time at the end too for questioning. So as I'm going through today and kind of doing a little role play with Kelly, Carrie, since you're the only one with us currently, feel free to jot down any questions and interject towards the end as we have built in ample time for that.
Yeah.
Okay,
You get
so
all of our attention. It's you, Carrie. We're going to
All
teach you to
right.
sell today.
yeah, love
Persuade.
it.
We're going to teach you to persuade, not sell.
Yes, exactly. So essentially, persuasion is the goal. So the power of persuasion is kind of the topic of discussion for today. Big thing is we're not trying to convince people to buy into PT, but we're trying to persuade them and get to the bottom of their beliefs, their values, and why they sought us out in the first place versus like, I think you should do this for good health. No, we're not trying to convince them that PT is good. We want to persuade them, and that is how you sell. So that is going to be the conversation for today. All right. So persuade broken down, all right, through to completion. Obviously, we want to, go all the way to the end, and then we want to advise throughout. So we're not necessarily convincing, but we're advising based on the knowledge that we gain. So big things we're going to go over today is gathering context. So context and content. So context is how we're going to utilize the content that the patients present to us. Or if you're talking to orthosurgeons, that they present in terms of what they want to gain for their patients. And then we build a context of how us as physical therapists here at Concierge Orthopedics can help. So we can go next slide, Kelly.
Okay. I wanted to write that down, context versus content.
So the content is what we gain. The context is what we kind of create around that content. Okay, so the big thing is, and why I chose this image here, is like showing patients what they can achieve by embarking on their PT journey so that they're so pumped, right? We want them to sign up for a package after an eval. That's the goal, right? That's the buy-in. Not everyone's appropriate for a package, but ultimately we have, a 4-pack. Usually you can use that for most patients on our caseload. So this image here shows, elderly individuals walking with their grandkids. So for me, I'm like, you need to come to PT because your knee hurts. for them, they're like, I need to come to PT because I need to be able to walk with my grandkids. So we want to get to the bottom, that root cause or belief as to why they want to pursue a physical therapy journey and how we as clinicians can help them get to doing the thing that they want to come for. So essentially walking with the grandkids, getting on and off the floor, being able to go shopping, like things that are not directly related to our care, but are really going to sell, quote unquote, and persuade them to embark on a longer journey than just the initial evaluation. Okay, so Kelly and I are gonna do a little role play, but I really want to hammer home questioning. Okay, questioning is going to be key. So when you are talking with someone, and I'm going to hammer the heck out of Kelly with questions, and you guys will get to see
I
just
told
how,
her, I was like, do not tell me what you're going to ask me. Like,
yeah.
I'm legit going to be like on the fly because I want you to actually convince me into something.
So we went over this PowerPoint, and she's like, "Nope, we're not going to practice the role play." So this is first line, everyone. So be ready. But essentially, you need the knowledge from the questions that you ask to sell your offer. Okay, what is the offer? Physical therapy, right? So Kelly is going to be my patient. I am going to be the PT, and we're going to kind of go through a scenario. So Kelly's coming to me just because we have this hiking photo for knee pain. Okay. So
Oh,
I, obviously, as a clinician, am not going to try to convince her that she needs to come to PT because her knee hurts. I want to see why she's coming to PT in the first place and really cast the vision of why cash pay physical therapy is a lot more beneficial than rudimentary PT in a clinical setting. So Kelly, what brought you into concierge orthopedics and what kind of made you seek out cash pay physical therapy in the first place?
my trainer, Shania Grody, had me doing these crazy things, lifting weights, and I hurt my knee. No, literally my knee hurts on the inside of my knee, and I'm going hiking on spring break in the middle of March with all four of my kids. And I'm also going to be in the car for like 8 hours.
Where are you going hiking?
We're going to Big Bend.
Oh, awesome. Have you been there before?
No, but my husband has always wanted to go. This is for real, guys. We really are.
I was
Yeah.
kind of wondering.
Yeah, we really are.
Um,
I'm so excited. That's where the McDonald's Observatory is. We're gonna have to drive like I think it's 8.5 hours from here.
That's a long drive. So, how many miles do you plan on hiking at Big Bend? Do you guys have a kind of map outlined?
I mean, we'll have the kids with us, so we probably won't do more than 3 or 4 at a time because the
Okay,
youngest is 5.
awesome. And how far do you feel like you can walk currently?
I mean, it just kind of always hurts.
Okay,
And so I can walk. If I probably walked over like a mile or so, it would really start increasing, but it's just like always there, even when
okay,
I'm getting up and down, going to the car, all that kind of stuff.
sure. So, what made you seek out kind of this model, being that you have this trip coming up so soon versus kind of going to the clinic?
I mean, I don't have real great out, like I can't just drop everything and come during the day. And I also don't want them making me come so many times during the week. Like I want to have the tools to be able to do whatever I need to do.
How many times per week do you feel like it's too much for you?
I mean, honestly, more than one. Like I would have a hard time
Okay.
going anywhere twice a week.
Okay. And can you go somewhere once a week? Or
Yes,
would
I
it?
could do once a week. I could
Okay.
commit.
Have you ever been interested in doing like telehealth where we could do, a virtual physical therapy visit if needed, or are you more interested in the in-person?
I think at least to begin with, I would want to do in person,
Okay.
but I would be open to telehealth, especially if it was, continued where I needed to do therapy
Sure.
past, the
Yeah.
trip or whatever.
Most definitely, yeah. Or if it, aligns where we need to do a check-in while you're, headed on vacation too. So
Yeah.
what specifically do you enjoy about in-person physical therapy visits?
I feel like the hands-on treatment from what I've read about and seen would be beneficial, and I don't know that you could do that through telehealth. I think that'd be hard.
Yeah, you're most definitely right. So what specifically hands-on have you seen that interests
I
you?
mean, I've seen pictures of cupping. I've had some dry needling done.
Okay.
And then, of course, I've had massages
Okay. Where specifically have you had dry needling?
on my hip.
Okay. Did it help?
Yeah, it did. I had some like a trigger point that just absolutely would not go away after hip surgery, and that was kind of pushed me over the edge where I got it.
Cool. And did you go in an in-person clinic at that point in time for dry needling?
I did, and I had to go like 3 times a week, and I did not like it.
Okay. So that was kind of the pitfall. All right.
Yeah. I mean, there's
So
always somebody else there.
yeah, right. So were you seeing there was like multiple patients at the same time?
Hmm.
Okay. Did you not enjoy that?
I mean, it was okay. Like, I get that they have to be busy, but I would rather, there were times where I was like, okay, what's my next exercise or what's my next thing? Or am I even doing this right? Because you're over here working with someone else.
Sure. Yeah. And definitely like that attention when you have someone one-on-one, don't you agree? Like it feels like you're being heard and you can actually ask questions versus like stepping on someone's toes or taking away, from the other patient. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, no, this is great. So March, tell me a specific date in March when you guys are actually going to Big Ben.
I think it's
What's
March
your
17th or 18th.
Okay, perfect. So we got some time, most definitely. But yeah, going in the clinic multiple times per week definitely takes away from your time with your kids, right? Time with rehab. You can't, obviously be doing your home exercise program when you're driving 30 minutes at least one way to get there.
Right.
Totally understand that. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the big thing is we want to be able to get to that 3 mile marker, right?
Mhm.
And we want to be able to obviously keep up with our 4 kids so that we can continue to walk greater than a mile and do Big Bend and not be like mom's, in the back tagging
Exactly.
along there.
Hmm.
Well, Colin is just trucking. So
Yeah.
essentially, our goal here at Concierge Orthopedics is to truly, make this as efficient and effective as possible. So I think, what really resonated with me is like the drive time, right? Like we can take that out, right? I can always come to you, and do an in-person session, which it sounds like, you're more interested in the in-person. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. And if you could come to me, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
So
like
I think,
less.
why I was asking kind of about the telehealth too is the convenience factor. So we do offer, the concierge-based services for a reason. So I can definitely come to you, which would obviously kick down the drive time. And that would allow you, if, you forget to do your exercises before PT, while I'm on my way to you, you can get them done. So I think, making this as efficient and effective as possible is really going to allow you to get to that 3 mile marker. And I can assure you, we don't usually see patients more than once a week unless they're like a post-op. So I know you said that's kind of the cadence that you wanted. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So usually, obviously I haven't evaluated you yet, but usually once per week or once every 2 weeks is a normal, trajectory for most patients on load. And then the cool thing is, if you are progressing at a level where we see you once a week, in person when I'm coming to you, and it becomes something that we do more so bi-monthly, once every 2 weeks, we can always change that. So I know you had said the clinic was kind of a deterrent for you. Another thing too is like insurance. You didn't really say much about that, but the beauty is when we're in this cash pay model, we can actually, change your plan of care because we're not dealing with insurance. So if we decide after that second visit where we're doing weekly that maybe you'd benefit from once every 2 weeks, then we can change it. Does that sound something that would be interesting to you, or would you be interested in changing the cadence throughout your care?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So that's definitely something that we can talk about, as we get the ball rolling. Um, so now that we've kind of gotten to the, nitty gritty, obviously the knee's always hurting. We don't want that. We want you to be able to walk that 3 mile marker and be able to keep up with your kids. I think the cool thing is too, obviously, so Kelly and I are in person. I didn't mention that, but we're in person right now. So I'm going to be telling her kind of what we have to offer throughout PT because we've never met. So this is just me kind of selling her on the cash pay model. So
Okay.
if you're like, this is over Zoom, like what are you doing? Um, so I'm talking to her like I'm in person with her. So Kelly, it sounds like, this timeline is pretty strict, right? We got to the second week of March, so I'd love to get rolling. I could definitely schedule you in an evaluation today. I do have some time actually right after we converse if you want to hop in for an eval. So how it works, we are a cash-based entity, like I said before. So we accept 4 primary forms of payment: HSA, FSA, credit, or debit card. The cool thing is too, we also have after evaluation discounted package rates. So our evals run 175 for the session. We spend no less than an hour with you. And like I said, it's going to be all hands-on, all one-on-one. So you can ensure all your questions are going to be answered and you feel like you're getting the best value for your overall care. And obviously, we don't want that knee hurting anymore. So if I can spend more time putting my hands on you and getting to the root cause, we're going to allow you to walk that 3 miles and get to that goal a lot more quickly than if I have multiple patients in the room, which will not be the case. And then after that, the cool thing is we have 3 primary packages that we offer, actually. We have a 4-pack, an 8-pack, and then a 10-pack as well. So that is something we can talk about kind of based on the trajectory of today's eval, but those are all discounted. So the cool thing is we list eval and then we can just see and decipher what the best course of action is. That something that would be interesting to you, or would you be interested in kind of getting the ball rolling today and just trying the eval and then seeing what we find, and then from there kind of, constructing a plan of care and figuring out which package would best suit you?
Absolutely. And so I have a
Awesome.
question for you from a
Yeah.
sales perspective. Uh,
Mhm.
Shania, do you typically bring those packages out and like kind of educate about that prior to the eval?
So sometimes, yeah, just because like I feel like, so for instance, here's an example. I got a random message this weekend in my DMs. No, someone inquired, no one I knew, about a pelvic fracture. I'm like, I haven't treated a pelvic fracture. So it's totally post-op, fully healed, just wants more strengthening, wants me to evaluate him from a cash pay perspective. So for him, I did a 15-minute call, kind of role playing like we are now, but real time, right? I'm taking all my notes. I'm telling him about everything that I have to offer. And then I did send him everything just because he doesn't know me. He doesn't know my pricing and things like that. If it's something where you feel like you don't need to kind of forecast and foreshadow because they're already bought in there, like you, maybe I wouldn't need to in this instance because you're already having FaceTime with me in person, then we could do the eval and present it after. I don't think either option is necessarily better than the other. I think you just have to read the room, right? Because
That's a good point. Yeah,
if
because what
someone,
I was trying to show is like my time is, and this would be me, like if I needed
yeah,
care, my time is the ultimate premium. And so
yeah,
sometimes you get that vibe from people, right?
yeah,
So with
right.
that, I'm like just talking about convenience, convenience. But then
Yep.
occasionally you'll have people who are very concerned about, but I have this insurance.
So here's an example. I have someone this afternoon who was Instagram messaging me, an old patient of mine from 2022 who moved away. She's pregnant. She wanted a new program. So I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be more of a personal training thing. But she was someone who I like showed her the pricing right away because she was like, well, what about insurance? I can't remember. Like, do you take insurance? And it's like, I wanted to make sure that everything was laid out before I spent time. Like you said, convenience and time. We do not want to waste time in terms of like, yes, this is our occupation. We're not, really rude people, but ultimately, like, you want to present things if someone's hesitant in terms of the monetary value initially, so
Mhm.
that you're not just going through the motions and then for nothing, right? So I want to make sure in case scenarios where, insurance is brought up and things like that, I want to lay everything out. And you didn't today, so I wouldn't have to necessarily do the packages
Yeah.
like I did, but I just want people to see that it isn't a bad idea. Um, to do that just because then they
Right.
can see too, like, oh, well, that's kind of a lot, like 175 for an eval. I'm just saying if someone said that, then you're like, oh, I have this discounted package. And they're like, oh, sweet. Well, once I do this, then I'll just take advantage of the discount. Awesome, you know? And then they're going to have so much value in that eval that they're going to be like, yeah, sign me up. I feel good already leaving. So
And your evals are not in the packages, correct?
no. And I think, okay, so I'm not going to tell everyone what to do, but I feel like Kelly and I have learned, Kelly can correct me if I'm wrong, but like giving things away for free, we've done that a lot, as therapists. I'm sure you have conversations with family, friends. I'm reading a book right now about giving away free knowledge as a professional. And one thing I learned in sales too, in my coaching, is that family and friends should always pay because then they're going to take you seriously. So the big thing with that is with the evaluation, like that shouldn't be included in the package because first you need to go through the eval and see what package is even going to be appropriate for them. Say you
Mhm.
sell them a package of 5 and you're like, well, I could probably have them better in like 4 visits. And then you're like, oh, oops, well, now, we burned one up and then we're in a weird spot. So I would always do the eval first and then sell the package after.
And so you say the eval is 174, because I guess I'm kind of like where I'm where I feel like I'm a little gray, a little fuzzy
Yeah.
is if I know, like I'll hand them the package stuff and I'll say, okay, here's our packages. But
Hmm.
then that there needs to be a differentiation between like the eval. So I guess kind of like what you said, our eval is
Yep.
174.99 or
Mhm.
175
Yeah.
and the 99.
174.99, not 175.
179. But you can buy the next visit at a discounted rate. So I guess that's
Yeah.
how you would communicate that.
Yeah. And sometimes they're just going to be like, no, I'm just going to pay as we go, and that's fine. But I will say, with experience and time, when they buy that package, they're more committed. On a
Yeah.
cash pay level, they're already committed. But when they buy the package, it's another level of commitment. And you know what? You just sold them into 4 visits. They're coming for four. Otherwise,
Right.
they're out their money. And I
Yeah.
think the cool thing is too is our packages expire, which takes out the uncertainty. We have them on a 2 month. We have met enough of a cadence where if someone gets sick, their kid has something, and we can go over that individually with you guys if you have questions. But essentially, like, we are human. If they have COVID, yes, we will, move that package visit, etc. But if they're signed up, they know that package has an expiration. We have a timeline of their plan of care. They're going to be coming. They want to get the value from what they paid for.
Mhm.
Kind of like when you pay for a gym membership up front, you pay like, thousands of dollars. You're not just going to not show up because you paid. So I always say, like, present the package, and present the value and really forecast. I know I asked a million questions to Kelly and some seem redundant, but the people being the patient, they love to talk about themselves.
Well,
Kelly
and
and I
I
have,
didn't feel like it was like if I go back and look at this, I may be like, oh, she asked that multiple times, but like
yeah,
as a participant, I did not feel like that.
good. And like I could have asked more questions too, and like we could have gotten into even more. But the big thing is like you want their big why. Her big why. Why is she coming to BT? She wants to be able to walk Big Ben. Okay. So we're gonna do everything in our due diligence to ensure that she can get there. Okay. The knee pain, that's just kind of a, side thing that we're gonna treat. And that would be if I said, hey, I want to, take care of your knee pain. I'm trying to convince her to sign up for PT. She's believing that she wants to do Big Ben. So we need to make her believe that she's gonna get to Big Ben through physical therapy. And that's the key root. And that's where you're really going to cast positive light and, outcome in terms of getting them bought in. We can always change beliefs, but if we try to convince them on what we believe and what we want, that's not going to work. Okay. That's like me saying, hey, I can do instrument assisted soft tissue mobilization. I can do cupping. Oh, like you said, Kelly, yeah. I don't do dry needling, but I can definitely do some manual therapy and, do some patellar mobility and work on that. She's cashed out. She's not even listening to what I'm saying. She does not care. She cares about Big Ben. So we need to focus on Big Ben and worry about what we're going to do as a clinician to get there. If you want to play the next slide, Kelly, I'll kind of go over this ties in great to these key points. So the defeation with facts, no bueno, right? You don't want to defeat them with your facts until they're bought in. You can teach them all you want in that session, but get them to buy in first and then, show your knowledge and show your true value in that evaluation so that package is sold before they even leave, right? They're feeling better, they have better range of motion, you're taking post-treatment, you know, verbal signs of, hey, how's your pain doing now that I did that? Oh, it's better, huh? Awesome. Well, did you know that it improved 3 points, based on what we were at the beginning? Did you know that like it's moving, your kneecap is moving a lot better than it was initially? So awesome job. And your squat form, you were really caving in with your knees. Now it's looking good. So if you can continue to do it on your own, we'll be rocking Big Ben in no time. So like really using the objective wins and the subjective wins throughout the session to forecast the next thing. Because if you treat in a holistic manner like we do, you're already selling it. It's good. We just need to get them to believe that this is going to get them to where they want to be, right? Because their beliefs are going to be that content that we need to build the context around. So that's kind of what I did in my conversation with Kelly today. Okay, big thing too is money is the byproduct of selling genuine transformations to patients. So yeah, right? You see someone for an eval, you're like, sick, I'm going to make this much money, right? That's not our goal, right? We want to help them. Like we went into PT for a reason. The money's just going to come along for the ride if we're selling in an effective manner. And it's just going to be a snowball effect. So if you can get them bought in, they paid $175 for their session. Kelly, you sold a $1,099 pack the other day I saw. So 2 of them. So Kelly thought she was making $175, had no intention of making over $1,000 in a day and just boom, done. So I want to really say that like 2 times. The money is just a byproduct. If you sell in a genuine manner and you present your value as a clinician, they're going to keep coming back.
Yeah.
And that is our goal, right? Like we tell you in onboarding, sign on interest. I wrote that in there. We want to be your PTs for life. So that's why we want the DMs from our patients where they hurt their shoulder after we rehab their knee because they know the value that we provide, even though they go into their primary. Primary is like, you need an x-ray. They're like, no, I'm going to go to PT first and then we'll talk about the x-ray. That's what we want. We want them coming to us because they know the value and they believe that our services as clinicians are going to help them get to that goal of hiking Big Ben, and for example.
Absolutely.
So that's
Yes.
my big kind of takeaways from today, and that's truly the end of the presentation. So I want to open up for questions. Carrie, do you have any specific questions you would like to go over?
I'm overloaded with a billion questions of just getting going. So
That's totally okay.
it's getting the people to me
Yeah.
to be able to.
We're gonna talk about that next week or 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. That's Kelly's forte.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think too, the biggest thing that I can say about that, Kelly, you can attest to this, is like perfect content is not the goal. It's getting the
Right.
message out there. And I think the biggest thing when you start is everyone wants these likes. I post videos. I've been posting on Instagram for years. I get 6 likes. I'm like 500 views, 6 likes. Sick. People are seeing it. And then someone will slide into your DMs that you didn't even know they saw the video, right? You
Yeah.
did, like, I had a patient come to me. I posted an open book, thoracic mobility on a foam roller like weeks ago. I cupped this person on Monday. She's like, I literally saved that video you posted. I'm like, I don't even see you like that video, but they're seeing it. So
Yeah.
I think that you just need to let the ego go on the likes and know that you're getting your content out there. People are seeing it. It just takes one, right? That one person who saves it, and then it's like a trickle effect from there.
Yeah.
Trickle
I
effect,
just
I should
heard, I listened to a good podcast yesterday and he was a social media content producer and he's like, content's easy. And they were like, what in the world? Because he's just
say.
very natural, can just talk to the camera. And what he said to do, he was like, get really good lighting, type out a script, go
Hmm.
on Instagram live and
Hmm.
just start
I
going.
watched this. I listened to this
Yes.
podcast.
And I was
Yes.
like, that's genius because no one, unless you see them pop up, no one sees this.
Hmm.
You are live, your body knows, your words know, like you're getting the reps in, but
Hmm.
it's nowhere to be held against you. Unless
Yeah.
it does pop on and you're like, hey, Shania, I'm so glad you're here. I was just
Yeah.
telling everyone about my new business that I started in Ohio,
Mhm.
and I am da 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 da,
Yep. He was
Yeah.
actually saying too, Kelly, this is gotta be the same one. This is weird because we've never talked about this until right now. But he was like doing the same script over and over, right? And then if someone joins, he just keeps rolling the script. So it's like he'll just keep reading the same script, even though like no one's in the room, just to get reps in and feel comfortable and confident in front of the camera.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought that was genius. And also what
Yeah.
I see shines through to you, Shania, and I was just talking, I think this is what made the difference in me selling the packages was like you can't sell if you're not sold. The sales girl
Hmm.
said that. And it's like that is so true because I did not put belief in that. I did not hold much weight to the packages because I was
Hmm.
irritated when I was offered them. But at the same
Hmm.
time, I realized I was actually being a really bad customer or a really bad patient because the reason I didn't want to do them is because I didn't want to do it. I
Yeah.
didn't see enough value in what they were offering because I was like, I see value in your service, but I don't see value in continuing it. So I really don't want to look at that. And so I kind of passed that belief on to my own practice and then
Hmm.
just was like, oh, well, if I felt that, everybody's going to think that. And if I
Yeah.
thought that and tried to sell it, that is what would happen.
Hmm.
But because I've seen like, hey, these patients, I'm getting more consistent objective measures too, especially by using Jane. I'm so pleased with getting back to an EMR, surprisingly so, because I liked the freedom that just
Hmm.
yes
Yep.
offered.
Yep.
But just being able to pull that up and be like, hey, you are 2 packages into your 8 package plan of care, and your pain was this on what day and your pain is this today, and like it's really refreshing and it like reminds me of what we as clinicians are in it for. And
Hmm.
yeah, of course that money was great, but it was even better is seeing this girl at the baseball field and she could turn her arm again, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Those wins, right? Money is just the byproduct, truly, and that is exactly right. We want to get them better. But I think to your point, Carrie, about like getting people in the door, it's just like posting that content. Everyone's like, the shareables are awesome, but they want to know you. So like get comfortable with saying a little spiel about yourself, even if you're
And
not
you don't even
comfortable.
have to be good at
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no, I post all the
Right.
time. Like, yeah, even if you post an exercise, I videotape myself all the time doing movements for an arsenal for later. Maybe my form on one wasn't super good, but you know what? Like, it's fine. Like, we're human too. We're not having to be perfect to post that content. I think Kelly and I have both gotten over that. We're like, oh, the lighting doesn't look as good. It's like, we just want to get it out there. We want to show people who we are and what we have to offer. Like, no one's perfect. And like if you post to be that, people are gonna be like, oh, I don't know, they're kind of intimidating. They look really
Yeah.
like, like they want to see you and they want to know that you're a real human. When I personal train, I've had this happen twice in the past like month. Someone's like, I'm glad to see when you're demonstrating it, you're actually struggling. I'm like, thanks, like, thank you.
Real
I'm
person.
like, I'm human too. So yeah, I think that's just the big piece of advice we can give you too of getting the ball rolling is like get content out there. Doesn't have to be perfect. And share everything we post on our Concierge Orthopedic social media because that takes literally 1 minute. And it's just like, again, someone seeing it on the story. Like they
Mhm.
they remember you. Oh, they do that now. Cool. I should reach out to
Yeah.
them.
And Liz, I don't know if you know you have your hand raised. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. I do. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of moving about with my kids and stuff, so that's why I don't have
So
my
glad
video
you're
on.
here.
I
Um,
like your little emoji list.
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. So my question is, so when I saw my first patient the first time, I had another, I guess, potential. I'm still calling them a potential client, kind of reach out
Yay.
to me.
That's
Um, just in the same location because it's an over 50s place, and he was telling me about his wife and things like that. And so I gave him a business card and a flyer, but I haven't heard from him since. And so I was just reflecting and thinking, okay, should I have been more like, push is the wrong word, but should I have been more like forward to be like, okay, no, I'll call you, or was it like, okay, I mean, enough to just say, okay, well, yeah, you call me, here's my website, look at what I do. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
you
Yeah,
want me to
that's
lead
a
or
good
you want to?
question because it's
Oh,
hard
go
to
ahead.
know. Oh, sorry. What were you saying,
No,
Shannon?
you're good. I was like, do you want to lead or do you want me to? You're
Oh,
going. Going.
I'm bossy. I'm bossy. But yeah,
Not true.
so that's such a good question because I would like replay that in my mind when I first started. I think the repetitions of getting that information out there is just so important. It is like reps over anything is the most important. You likely, knowing you and how articulate you are, I seriously doubt you are too pushy or ineffective. I think, and what my marketing coach talks about, she's like, people are watching, but they forget. They have to be reminded. So allowing yourself some way to retarget them, whatever that way is. So like with him, I wonder, could you find him again the next time you go and just, is knocking on the door appropriate? I don't know if you know where he lives or what, since it's that community. I do think, yeah, maybe in the future, I feel like people are more giving with their email. Like I may not want to give you my number, but I'll give you my email because I can just ignore you there if I want to. But if you offer me something great, I'm actually going to pay attention. And email's a great way to do that. So yeah, so finding some way and have some plan in place where you can retarget them. Like I always want to control that information, and then I keep that in. I enter that into our email program, and you can do the same thing. You can get a free account, so then it looks like you can create these beautiful emails, and he doesn't know how many people are on the list. He doesn't know he's the only one on the list, and then you send it out and you're able to retarget him. So yeah, so I think what you did was probably completely appropriate. But do you think you could find him again and just double check?
I could try because I'm going to the same place again, like today, for the same patient, for my first patient. So I could try and I'm not sure how that's going to come across because I remember his name.
Yeah,
So I could try to find him that way, as well. Yeah.
I would try to
So
find something else. Like I would present it like, hey, I remember you talked about your wife and I have this information, or I wanted to tell you this, not just like, hey, you ready? Have some
yeah,
kind of other value you bring.
I think
Yeah.
yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I see him there, then yes, absolutely, because he was working out at the gym at the same time the first time I went there. But if I don't see him there, then I'm like, well, I'm not sure exactly. I could ask my patient to see if she knows
Yeah.
him at all,
Yeah.
and just kind of try and find him that way. But yeah, but if I do see him there, I'll definitely see if I can get his email.
I love
Over.
that.
Sounds
And
like you need to come prepped with lots of material to that place
Yeah.
because if you're in their gym, no telling who's going to be there.
That's true. Yeah, I do that.
Mhm.
I
Thank
think
you.
getting the email is key. Like even for me, so like for instance, I had a cold call. This is just a really weird referral situation because it's first of all like I didn't know where they were and they wanted me to come to their house and then I figured out that it was through a friend. But anyway, in this situation, like I wanted this person's email and I had it because I have a little thing that's called like Formspree where they can submit. But if I was in your situation, Liz, I would definitely get their email and like even tell them like I can create you a patient portal or like offer them something and ask some questions that aren't like going to be like HIPAA whatever. Ask them about themselves and just learn about them. So like Kelly said, like then you can go back and talk about the story, about the wife, about the kids, whatever, the grandkids, anything like that, so that like they remember you, you remember them, and there was some kind of rapport and connection built because then they're going to keep that in the back of their mind. And I do think that they need a nudge and a follow-up, and an email is a great way to do that. I do that often, even with patients on my load, where I'm like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. Like, how are things going? You know, I discharged you 2 weeks ago. Like, you know, how are things? So yeah, I love that, Kelly, too.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad y'all could hop on. We're going to post this on the website. And then we'll be talking about marketing in 2 weeks. Do you know that date, Shania, off the top of your head?
I can tell you in one moment. Sorry, I don't have my planner next
Oh,
to
you're
me.
fine. Oh,
The 20th.
the 20th, February 20th. Yeah.
February 20th. So it'll be Thursday, February 20th, same time, 12:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. Kelly will be delving into marketing. And
Yeah.
then we'll always let you guys know, like they'll always be on Thursdays, but they might have to shuffle based on, you know, it might not be the first and third every single time, just because we are practicing too. So we have patients to work around as well.
Yeah. That sounds great. Thanks for hopping on, guys. If y'all have any more
Yeah, thank
questions,
you.
follow up with us, send us a Voxer or an email. And this was great. It was so fun.
Thank you, Carrie, for all your good questions. Thank you, Liz, as well. We appreciate you guys.
Thank all of you.
Good luck today, Liz.
Thank you.
Yeah, take
All
care.
right.
Bye bye.
Bye.